Hello! In this video we're going to be looking at two games I've had in the Nagato, and the reason I'm showing you some replays in Nagato is because when patch 4.0 and the wipe comes in about an hour's time, I've decided that I'm going to give the Japanese Battleship line a miss, at least for the first few months after the wipe and into open beta. That's just because I actually don't particularly like the Japanese battleships until you get to the ones, Nagato and higher, tier 7 and up. And I just feel it's not quite worth grinding through tiers 3, 4, 5 and 6 just to get to a ship that I actually enjoy. But having said that, I actually really do like the Nagato and the Amagi. Well, having said that, I only played the Amagi a couple of times on the closed beta weekend tests, like back in January or whatever, but I will miss the Nagato. It's a really good ship, and the one thing that really makes this ship excellent for me is that I feel that I can kind of reliably hit targets and do damage to targets at kind of normal combat ranges of 10 to 15 kilometers without having to rely on luck, which all the previous Japanese battleships I've kind of felt is the main thing deciding on, how you hit and how much damage you do. Anyway, this one here. I'm the Nagato, a tier 10 battleship, and that is a Yamato, a tier 10 Japanese battleship. I've managed to score a hit on it at pretty near maximum range, didn't do a lot of damage. But I'm firing 4 more shells. Nagato gets 8 406mm guns, which are very powerful, and I get a couple more hits and do a little bit more damage. But the Yamato is very heavily armoured, and it's got the American all-or-nothing armour layout. And I think both those shots I fired, or both the hits I got, or all the hits I got, since they hit at the front and the bow and the stern of the ship, I think they probably passed straight through without doing a lot of damage. But still, I'll take any damage against a tier 10 ship. You get a lot of credits and experience for that. I said not that it really matters because this game was about an hour or two ago, so it's going to get wiped anyway. Whatever. Yamato is going to come back around out of the island any second now. And I'll take my shots. Full broadside this time. And, well, get a shot hit then as well. But so you can kind of see what I'm talking about with the accuracy. Like, all 3 of these volleys have been at near to the maximum range of my guns, and I'm getting hits pretty consistently. It's just your shells, they fall in a pretty tight grouping, and because they are quite big guns, they do a fair bit of damage each time. I don't think they're shooting at me, they're shooting at the ships in front of me who are taking a beating. But, well, I'm not really doing a lot to this Yamato either. 1 more hit, 4,000 damage. That's pretty decent really. But the Yamato just did 5,000 to me and took out one of my turrets. So, I suppose a win to the Yamato. No, I did more damage to it than it did to me, but it's got a lot more damage to lose. Anyway, there are cruisers pushing around our flank hard, so I kind of think it's more important to deal with this immediate threat, well, if this is our cruiser in front of me, than firing off to Yamato on the other side of the map. And I can almost get shots on the Zell. It's going right along the edge of the map, but I line up, aim, take my shots, and it dies before they arrive, but they look like they would have been hits. I should also mention that I actually had a really hard time getting a good game in the hours immediately before the wipe, just because lots of people weren't really so much as, weren't really trying to win, and lots of games just ended up a bit weird. Well, there were lots of team killing, but usually it was just generally cruisers weren't really interested in escorting things, and destroyers were kind of more interested in suiciding than trying to win, and yeah, no one was really out to win. Which means that, well, you'll see what's going to happen in this game. Well, I'll tell you since I've started talking about it. Basically, my team over around here in A, we're winning quite handily. We're about to cap it. And then my team sees the Yamato coming, and they all run except for me. Which is kind of bad, because we need to hold these cap circles. So anyway, I've gone into the position between A and B, which is kind of an important position on this map. And I was thinking of heading into B to try and contest it, but there are a lot of destroyers over there. And by a lot, I mean 2, but that's still more than I want to fight. And I've got no cruisers coming with me, because, as I said, final hours of closed beta, cruisers weren't interested in escorting people. So I'm basically decided I'm not going to go over to B, which means I'm going to have to go to A and fight those battleships, which I'm perfectly fine doing. You can see my secondary batteries opening up on this destroyer here. I get a couple of hits, and the secondaries on the Nagato are actually pretty effective. Fire 1 or 2 shots, I should say, at the destroyer and get a single hit, which sets it on fire. It's not going to kill the destroyer, but it's always nice to be able to hit them with one of your big shells. And I'm also able to dodge its torpedoes, which is always a nice feeling. And now we've got cruisers and battleships to deal with. And this one has come within a few kilometres of us, but well, it dies and I shoot down its scout plane as well, which doesn't really mean much after the ship's dead, but whatever. And there's the Yamato, and you saw me pass the cruiser on the way in, and the other 2 cruisers are running off down to the south. Lots of people are really scared of the Yamato. I think it's got a shock value, the Yamato, that the Montana, the American Tier 10 battleship, doesn't have. You know, I fired a broadside of high explosive at it, just because I had that loaded to deal with the destroyer earlier. And now I'm loading armor piercing. The Yamato's got the advantage in this engagement, but it's lost a lot of health, whereas I'm still near enough to full health. And it's just eaten 2 torpedoes, and it's also on fire. So this engagement's not entirely one-sided. The only problem is I've decided that to win I have to close the distance to the Yamato so that my shells will be able to penetrate its belt, while the rest of my team's all heading in the opposite direction. But not to worry, we'll manage. And took a big hit there from the Yamato. But, well, I didn't sink it, but, well, the fire sunk it, but I did a fair bit of damage. Now the only enemy ship over here is a Colorado. But the problem here is that the enemy team's winning on points, and they hold 2 of the cap circles, and no one in my team's really in a position to advance on either B or C. So really I should try and turn around and head into B, but I'm aware that there's at least 1 destroyer back that way, and without a cruiser escort, the nearest cruiser looks like it's about 10 kilometres away from me. I'm not going to take that. Well, I'm not going to survive long enough to actually do anything. So instead I'm going to go after this Colorado, which is my American equivalent, and try and kill it and hopefully get the points needed for our team that way. And you can see my shells, even though its armour is angry, I can still pretty consistently put some damage in, and I can also hit it fairly regularly at this range. Just aiming to bring all my guns to bear. And it's turning away from me. But I still get a hit and do 3,500 damage. And there goes my rear turrets. 2 more hits, another 5,500 damage. And now its forward guns are facing, well, exactly away from me. So I'm going to have an advantage in firepower over the next 30 to 40 seconds, which I hope to take advantage of. There goes its shells, the same calibre as mine, 16 inch. and they do a fair bit of damage. There's my 4 guns, and it's turning away again. 2 more hits, and those ones miss. And this is when things get interesting, because I see some enemy torpedo bombers coming in, and the enemy have a tier 10 Japanese aircraft carrier, which has a lot of bombers. So there goes, well, the first wave of torpedo bombers. I take a hit. Problem with Japanese torpedo bombers is that they fire very wide torpedo spreads, which means that they find it very difficult to get more than kind of 2 or 3 hits on target. But at the same time, it's actually quite difficult, especially from a battleship, to dodge all of them. You're basically going to eat one of them, is my experience. And there's dive bombers coming in. And because this is a tier 10 aircraft carrier, my anti-aircraft guns really aren't very adequate in, you know, shooting down this guy's aircraft. But I'm trying to do my best, mainly to disrupt their aim more than anything. And you can see also the enemy destroyers also getting involved and firing torpedoes in. But the one thing I've got going for me here is that... oh, actually I managed to dodge all of its torpedoes in there. Oh no, I don't. I'm going to eat one. Thought for a second I was going to do something right, but no, I took a hit. As I say, the one thing I've got going for me here is that the enemy battleship over there is also being shot at by our friendly bombers. So it's lost a fair bit of health as well. And you see it's also stopped shooting at me because it's quite busy dodging anyway. So I get a kind of a moment's respite here and decide to take the opportunity to fire at the Colorado. And then more torpedoes in the water, and I'm turning into them, but again I'm going to take 1 hit. And I actually managed to sink that battleship. Apparently it was on very low health. I only did 1200 damage to it, and it was enough to sink it. And here comes another wave of torpedo bombers. And take another hit. And I've got friendly fighters up here. So they're doing a bit of work as well. Now I've got a cruiser, the one that was 10 kilometres away, is now raced up. And they're doing a lot of work in trying to keep me alive. So they've done alright here, but basically it's just too little too late. We're about to lose. Enemy now hold all 3 cap circles, because most of my team's sitting in the corner of the map trying to keep our aircraft carrier alive, rather than going for the caps. But as I said, I can't really talk since I chased after that Colorado instead of moving into B and fighting the enemy destroyers. So even though we've got more ships, and yeah, we lost. But I'm still kind of okay with my performance. It's not the greatest. It's actually a pretty average game I've had in my Nagato. Second best in my team, shot down 4 enemy aircraft, basically, well, 3 of them that final thing, got 1 kill. Which was a bit of a lucky shot against that Colorado at the end there. But also did a fair bit of damage to a Yamato and a big hit to a destroyer. So it wasn't really a bad game. Although it would have been better if that Montana, the tier 10 battleship on our team, had actually done much. But 41,000 damage with the armour piercing, plus a few bits here and there. My secondaries did a fair bit of work. I kind of can't really be too disappointed with that game. Well, except I took a lot of damage, but I took more damage than I gave out. But whatever, it was a bad game. Well, now I'm fairly okay with how I did it. It was a bad game because we lost. Anyway, this next game I'm going to edit a fair bit because it was quite long and for long periods nothing happened. So we've just spotted the enemy. First ship we spotted was a Warspite, which we can't get shots on. This ship, which I think is an Alba. Maybe. Anyway, we got a hit on it. And bringing my rear guns around. Two more hits, 8,000 damage. And get a bit unlucky there. Well, partly unlucky, partly the Alba, or whatever it was. Actually, I think they said Mogami just there. I wasn't really looking. Managed to dodge. But anyway, next behind me is this Akuma light cruiser, and it's within 7 kilometers range, which I believe is its maximum torpedo range. And I don't want to be within the Akuma's torpedo range, so I'm turning away from it. And it's about to pop around the corner. So I get my guns ready. Fire a full broadside. And that Kuma is dead.
Enemy cruiser destroyed.
2 regular hits is enough to take out the entirety of a tier 4 light cruiser. But that's a little unfair. Well, no more unfair than me fighting a Yamato in the last battle. Well, we're back to the Warspite here. And the guns are almost loaded. And I was about to say I missed, but no, I managed to get 2 hits. Didn't bother checking how much damage I did because I saw that my friendly aircraft carrier back here is actually in a bit of trouble. So I ordered my AA gunners to target that torpedo bomber. And, well, the large guns are firing away, but I get one enemy aircraft shot down. I suppose it helps, but it didn't really feel that helpful at the time. Fire a broadside of armour piercing at the destroyer and actually managed to get a hit at really long range. And even though my shots, I'm pretty sure it just passed straight through the destroyer, it still did a lot of damage just because it's so large. Now I'm just waiting to reload to fire a second broadside at the destroyer here. And I decided to aim a lot closer because I saw its engine was destroyed. And then I decided that I'd better focus elsewhere, and all my shots have missed by now anyway. But the enemy are capping. I figured that is the main threat right now. So I'm turning around, and then I see that the Warspite is tucked in behind the island. So I can't actually hit it anyway. And well, there's an Omaha behind me as well. That destroyer is dead, but it did manage to kill our aircraft carrier. So I'll take a few shots at this Omaha while I'm waiting. Well, waiting for a shot to the front where I'm actually shooting. Okay, we can fire at the Warspite now. It's coming up from behind the island. Just got to get my guns pointing in the right direction. Warships out. And they all miss. And a bit to the left and a bit low. My rear turrets are reloaded, but they are nowhere near facing the right direction. So I start turning my whole ship to bring them round. Fire them off. Did 2 hits. I think one of them bounced off though. So only did 3,500 damage. Now I decided that I'd better kill this destroyer. And well, it eats a lot of torpedoes from my ally, but as you see, it got to spread off torpedoes off, and they're coming right at me. So any second now, there I go. I start turning to dodge them. And I time this just right, straighten out, and look at that. That's how you dodge torpedoes. And anyway, I'm going to edit away a pretty significant chunk of this video right now, mainly because nothing at all happened. So anyway, just spotted the Omaha again, well, it's just been re-spotted, and it's within range, and it's actually the only thing I can shoot at. Basically my entire team is grouped up in the centre of the map, while the enemy team are all scattered around the outside, and, well, this game's it wasn't that much fun to play because really we were just sitting in the centre and all ganging up on enemy ships as they came. But anyway, I've got 2 hits on the Omaha, and I'm just bringing my forward turrets around. Starts turning. And, my shots went a bit long. I need 2 seconds till my rear turrets are reloaded. So I fire, but well, it dies before they arrive. And now we see the Warspite again. Bit of my nemesis, this Warspite. The first warship I saw, and taken a few shots at it since, but I've never really done much damage to it. And now I'm in kind of an awkward position because I want to bring all my turrets to bear, but I'm passing through this really narrow channel, so I can really only fire with my forward turrets. But I get 2 hits, 5,500 damage, which is not to be sneezed at. And well, I do manage to run aground here because I wasn't paying attention to where I was going. I try and avoid it, but I just managed to clip this little headland here. And, well, I tried 4 turrets to the Warspite again, but I am well and truly run aground. And then I look up and realise the Warspite's dead, and yet again it was killed before my shells arrived. Which is a bit unfortunate, because, well, that was the last shots I got to fire in the game. I got 14 hits, 2 Citadel hits, which is pretty good, but never see the enemy again. But having said that, 2 Citadel hits, you know, that's actually a lot of damage with these shells. See, that's kind of, well, average, but the top of my team. But still did 54,000 damage off 15 penetrating shots. One of my shells bounced, one of them was on the Warspite. I only took a few thousand damage myself. And that's kind of the power of the Nagato. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time.